Once upon a time, a young boy who survived a lion attack grew up to become a relentless hunter, targeting the lions of society, the predators disguised as humans, spreading terror. That boy is none other than Marvel's iconic character, Kraven the Hunter. Today, let's dive into the thrilling origin story of Kraven the Hunter. Get ready for an exciting ride as we explore what makes him one of Marvel's most unique anti-heroes. Let's begin. The story begins with a prison van heading to a highly secretive and isolated Russian jail. Inside the van were some of the most dangerous criminals, and among them was our protagonist, Kraven. As expected, after reaching the prison, Kraven collected his essentials and moved into his cell. His cellmate clearly didn't like him, but Kraven reassured him, saying, "I'll only be here for 3 days." The next morning, Kraven intentionally picked a fight with 2 fearsome inmates in the prison gym. As a result, Kraven was brought to their boss, Cherno, the notorious leader of Russia's biggest drug mafia, the Kirov gang. But Kraven was there for one purpose only: to kill Cherno. And as planned, he used a sharp animal tooth he found in the gym to instantly kill Cherno and his associates, sparking chaos in the prison. The alarm blared through the prison as guards swarmed in from all directions. But no one could stop Kraven. His superhuman agility and strength made him unstoppable. Bullets couldn't hit him as he sprinted past guards, leaping across towering walls. Escaping the prison, he found himself in the icy wilderness of a snow-covered valley. As he made his way through the blizzard, a wolf appeared, ready to attack him. But Kraven didn't need to fight. One sharp, commanding glare from him was enough to calm the beast. Soon, his agent arrived with a plane waiting nearby, and Kraven escaped the desolate land safely. The story then flashes back 16 years, to New York, where we see 2 brothers, Sergei and Dmitri, studying in a prestigious school. One day, their father, Nikola, unexpectedly came to pick them up. Confused, the brothers asked him, "Why are you here, Dad? What happened?" Nikola replied with a heavy heart, "Your mother, she took her own life. She wasn't in the right state of mind." Sergei, overwhelmed with pain and anger, lashed out, "It's your fault, Dad. You're the reason she died. You didn't give her any time or care. For 2 years, you kept her locked in a hospital and didn't even let us see her. She wouldn't have died if it weren't for you." But Nikola, cold and unyielding, responded, "Your mother was weak. Because the brave never fear life. I want you to be brave like me. That's why I'm taking you hunting today." He didn't even let them attend their mother's funeral. Meanwhile, the story shifts to a vast valley in northern Ghana, where a young girl named Calypso is seen sitting with her grandmother, listening to stories. Calypso's grandmother was a mystic, a master of African spirituality. She had a deck of mystical cards that allowed her to glimpse into the future. That day, her grandmother sensed an impending danger in Calypso's future. Handing her a strange vial of medicine, she said, "Something dangerous is coming for you soon. Keep this with you. This medicine has the power to heal any wound as if by magic." This medicine had been a secret, passed down through generations in their family. It was created using a formula by a spiritual shaman, Papa Legba, said to have the ability to open the gates to the afterlife. The story returns to the jungle, where Nikola, along with his 2 sons and a group of men, began a hunt. They killed a deer, and Nikola brought Sergei to the dying animal, forcing him to touch its blood. "Feel this, Sergei. It will make your fears disappear," he said. Nicholas always loved Sergei more than Dmitri. The reason was simple. Unlike Sergei, Dmitri was timid and weak. One night, as Nicholas was sitting with his team, sharing stories, we discover the real reason they were there. Nicholas had come to hunt a terrifying lion named Tsar. The next morning, as the group set out to find the lion, a man named Alexei approached Nicholas. Alexei wanted to be Nicholas's business partner. However, Alexei was frail and suffered from asthma. Disdainfully, Nicholas mocked him, saying, "A weakling like you has no place in my business. Don't bother us." In truth, Nicholas was one of Russia's most notorious drug lords, and weak people like Alexei had no role in his dangerous operations. Meanwhile, Sergei and Dmitri, wandering a bit away from the group, suddenly found themselves face to face with the infamous lion Tsar. Sergei tried to keep his brother safe and calm, standing between him and the beast. But just then, their father fired a shot at the lion. Enraged, Tsar pounced on Sergei, sinking its teeth into him and dragging him away. Nicholas fired 2 more shots, but the massive lion seemed invincible. In a matter of moments, Sergei was gone. Elsewhere in the jungle, Calypso was exploring with her parents. Suddenly, she felt an unusual sensation, like something was wrong. She stepped out of the car and ventured deeper into the jungle, where she stumbled upon the horrifying scene. The lion Tsar standing over Sergei's bloodied, lifeless body. The lion's blood had mixed with Sergei's. Strangely, the beast dropped Sergei and left. Calypso, rushing to the boy, remembered the mysterious medicine her grandmother had given her. She poured it into Sergei's mouth. As soon as she did, something incredible began to happen in his body. But unlike her grandmother's promise, that the medicine would heal any wound like magic, it didn't seem to work. Desperate, Calypso placed one of her grandmother's mystical cards in Sergei's hand. Moments later, the rescue team arrived and took Sergei to the hospital. Despite their best efforts, Sergei was declared dead. But then, something miraculous happened. 3 minutes after being pronounced dead, Sergei suddenly came back to life. After this incredible event, Sergei was taken back to their home in London. Over the following days, his wounds healed miraculously, just like magic. But something about him had changed. One evening, Sergei entered his mother's room and found a letter she had written before her death. In it, she said, "Your father is a harsh man. He never gave me the chance to be happy. Promise me, Sergei, that you'll never become like him." As Sergei was processing these words, Nicholas called him. "Why were you afraid of the lion that day?" he demanded. "You had a gun. Why didn't you shoot? Because of your cowardice, Dmitri could have died. You're just like your mother, weak. But I won't let that happen. From now on, you'll stay with me, and you'll help me run my business. I'm sending Dmitri to New York to focus on his studies. And don't worry, I've already killed that lion to end your fear." Hearing this, Sergei's anger boiled over. "The lion should have bitten you instead," he yelled. He stormed off to his room, his heart pounding with rage and sorrow. Determined to leave his father's shadow, Sergei packed his belongings. He didn't want to become like Nicholas. On his way out, Dmitri caught him. "Don't leave me alone, brother," Dmitri pleaded. Sergei knelt, holding his brother's shoulders. "No matter where I go, I'll always stay in touch with you," he promised. But Sergei had also noticed strange changes in his body since the incident with Tsar. Leaving home felt like the only way forward. He boarded a cargo ship, leaving England behind, heading for the remote northern wilderness of Russia. But as soon as he arrived, Sergei faced yet another trial. A massive herd of buffalo came charging toward him. Sergei was terrified, but strangely the herd of buffalo didn't harm him. Instead, they passed by him as if he wasn't even there. One massive buffalo paused for a moment and locked eyes with him before moving on. Finally, Sergei reached an abandoned house deep in the forest. This entire area had once been his mother's wildlife sanctuary, but the family had left Russia for England many years ago. Sergei decided to stay there and make it his home. The next morning, he began noticing strange changes in his body. He could run at incredible speeds, leap great distances, climb trees effortlessly, and see things clearly from far away. That day, he spotted a group of hunters killing buffalo and cutting off their horns. Anger surged within him as he rushed to stop them. But when they refused to listen, Sergei killed the 2 men on the spot. The story shifts back to the present, where Kraven had returned to the same forest in Russia. He had transformed his old house into a clean and highly advanced hideout. One day, he saw another group of men hunting buffalo and cutting off their horns. Just as before, Kraven killed them to stop their illegal hunting. However, one of the men managed to escape. Determined to track him down, Kraven followed the trail all the way to London, where he found the man at an office. There, he also discovered a diary containing a list of illegal operations, including weapons, drugs, and poached animal skins. Kraven made it his mission to take down everyone on that list, starting with the escaped man and his boss, whom he killed that day. Next, we meet Calypso, who had grown up to become a prominent lawyer in London. A few days ago, her best friend Samantha had been shot dead. At Samantha's funeral, Calypso spoke passionately to the mourners. "My friend was the only one brave enough to stand against Cherno in court. She single-handedly took on the Kirov gang. We all know it was the Kirov gang who killed her, yet the police have caught no one." After her speech, Kraven approached Calypso. He handed her the card she had given him as a child. Calypso was stunned. "How did you find me?" she asked. Kraven smiled faintly. "I'm a hunter. Finding people is what I do," he replied. They sat together, and Kraven began to share his story. "Have you heard the news about Cherno's death? I killed him. I avenged your friend's murder." Calypso, shocked and curious, asked, "When did all this start for you?" Kraven looked at her intensely. "The day you gave me that medicine to save my life, everything changed. My body transformed, and I became something else. I can't tolerate injustice anymore. No one can catch me, so I've made it my mission to hunt down criminals like Cherno." He added, "I have a list of mobsters. If you help me, if you share the information your law firm gathers about these criminals, this list will grow. I can rid the world of them, one by one." But Calypso shook her head. "You don't need my help to do this, but your actions could put your loved ones in danger." Meanwhile, Rhino, a notorious mafia boss, heard of Cherno's death. Enraged, he arranged a meeting with his 3 most trusted men to discuss their next move. Rhino was now eager to take over Cherno's empire, but he heard unsettling news. An unknown, mysterious hunter was eliminating mafia members one by one. Rumor had it that the hunter had a list, and once someone's name was on it, they didn't survive. Alarmed, Rhino assigned one of his men to track down this hunter. Soon after, Rhino met with Cherno's 3 remaining associates. As he casually removed a pipe embedded in his own body, he proposed taking over their business and suggested making one of them his partner. But when one of them fired a shot at him, Rhino stood unfazed. His body was as hard as stone. Witnessing this, a group of snipers tried to take him down, but Rhino killed everyone except 2 individuals who had come with him. As he reattached the pipe to his body, he smirked and said, "So who wants to be my partner?" One of the men immediately killed his own associate and said, "I'll do it." Now this man allied with Rhino and went to meet with Nicholas, their only real rival. Nicholas, who was at his son Dimitri's restaurant, began discussing business with the man. But Nicholas had already figured out that the man was working with Rhino. Moreover, Rhino had sent several shooters to kill Nicholas that day. Despite the ambush, Nicholas managed to kill all the attackers and barely escape with his life. Dimitri, terrified by the gunfire, hid in fear. This enraged Nicholas, who confronted him, yelling, "They tried to kill me, and you, my son, instead of protecting me, hid like a coward? I need strong fighters, not someone like you." Meanwhile, one of Rhino's men found a pen drive in their hideout. When they played it, they discovered a video of Kraven killing Cherno in the Russian prison before escaping. Reno immediately recognized Kraven. To his shock, Kraven was Nicholas's eldest son. Reno couldn't comprehend how Sergei had transformed into the deadly Kraven the Hunter. At the same time, Rhino hired a man called Foreigner, who had been hunting Kraven for years. Foreigner possessed the ability to hypnotize anyone and freeze time by simply counting to 3. On the other side, Kraven arrived in London to meet his younger brother Dimitri, as it was Dimitri's birthday. During the night celebrations, we finally learn the origin of Kraven's name. After taking that mystical medicine as a child, Sergei experienced profound spiritual changes that gave rise to his new identity as Kraven. Their father, Nicholas, also attended the party. Although Kraven didn't like his father, he decided to set aside their differences for his brother's sake. Together, they all drank to celebrate Dimitri's birthday. After Dimitri became drunk, Kraven carried him to his room, put him to bed, and tried to sleep on the sofa, but sleep eluded him. Restless, he stepped outside to sleep under the open sky. The next morning, Kraven returned to find Dimitri's room in complete disarray, and Dimitri missing. He saw signs of a struggle and noticed a group of men abducting his brother. The kidnappers were smoking a distinct Turkish cigarette, which gave Kraven a lead. Fueled by desperation, Kraven sprinted after them. The ensuing chase was breathtaking, showcasing Kraven's superhuman speed and agility. Despite his efforts, he couldn't catch the car. The vehicle reached a helicopter waiting to take off, but Kraven, determined to save his brother, arrived just in time and stopped the entire helicopter with his bare hands. As Kraven tried to stop the helicopter, a gunman fired at him, forcing him to retreat. But determined to save his brother, he hurled a metal rod, striking the gunman. Holding on to the helicopter's tail, he dangled in the air. Despite his relentless effort, he struck a rock and plunged into the river below. Kraven, bruised but unbroken, went straight to Calypso. "They've taken my brother," he said, his voice trembling with urgency. "There were 4 of them. They spoke Turkish and smoked Turkish cigarettes. What should I do?" Calypso calmly reassured him. "Stay calm. I have spies who are experts in these matters." Without wasting time, she sent one of her trusted agents to investigate the Turkish men. Meanwhile, Kraven returned home, only to find a horrifying sight. The kidnappers had sent his father a gruesome message, a severed finger from Dmitri. Along with it came a demand for $20 million. Kraven immediately urged his father to pay the ransom, but Nicholas refused, thinking it would make him look weak in front of his enemies. "What if they take the money but don't release Dmitri?" he argued. Realizing his father wouldn't act, Kraven knew he had to take matters into his own hands to save his brother. Meanwhile, the kidnappers injected Dmitri with a drug to ease his pain. On the other side, Calypso's spy uncovered information that Dmitri had been taken by a man named Omer Azdemir and was being held in a remote mountainous area in Turkey. Believing the tip, Calypso relayed it to Kraven. What she didn't know was that Omer had been compromised by Foreigner, who was using him to feed false information. Foreigner's real goal was to trap Kraven. Unaware, Kraven walked straight into the trap. He traveled to Turkey and confronted Omer's men, killing them all before capturing Omer himself. But just as he was about to get answers, a rocket launcher fired from a distance, causing a massive explosion. Both Kraven and Omer were thrown from the mountain into the valley below. As they lay injured, Omer revealed that everything had been orchestrated by Rhino. Moments later, the police arrived at the scene, only to find Foreigner already there. Foreigner, as cunning as ever, hypnotized the officers and killed them effortlessly. Among the evidence, he found some of the toxic injections Kraven had used. Meanwhile, Rhino was taking Dmitri to a new location. During the journey, he revealed his true identity to Dmitri. "I was once a friend of your father. My name is Alexei," he said. "But your father never saw my potential. He thought I was too weak." Alexei explained how he had gone to America, where he found a doctor who created a serum to enhance human strength tenfold. Infused with Rhino DNA, the serum gave Alexei incredible power, transforming him into Rhino. Now, Rhino made his proposal. "Join me, Dmitri. Together we'll kill your father and you'll take his place. Why suffer under the weight of his rejection? He didn't even pay the ransom to save you. Why would you sacrifice yourself for a man who doesn't care for you?" But Dmitri, though shaken, refused to betray his family. Frustrated, Rhino played his final card. "Your brother, Sergei. He's no longer the man you knew. He's Kraven the Hunter now. A killer, a predator." Dmitri was stunned into silence. At that moment, Foreigner entered the room. With his hypnotic abilities, he subdued everyone and began his own plans. Meanwhile, in Turkey, Kraven had killed more of Omer's men. He called Calypso to warn her. "It was a trap. They couldn't capture me, so they might come after you instead. Leave your office immediately and meet me at the airport. I'll find you there." As expected, Calypso reached the airport, where Kraven was waiting for her. He looked tense and defeated. "I still haven't found my brother," he confessed. "What should I do now?" Calypso nodded calmly and said, "We need a plan. Let's go to Russia." In Russia, Kraven found himself in yet another deadly battle, this time with a tiger. He had known this tiger since it was a cub, but now the beast didn't recognize him and attacked without warning. Meanwhile, Foreigner, sitting with Rhino, revealed, "My former boss was one of the greatest hitmen in the world. But this Kraven, he stormed into his office and killed him. I've been hunting Kraven ever since, but I've never been able to catch him. However, in Turkey, the poison he used on Omer's men, it was derived from a rare flower. That flower only grows in a remote region of Russia. Kraven must be hiding there." Foreigner was right. Kraven was in that very region, conducting research, trying to uncover the secrets behind the mystical medicine Calypso had given him. He needed to know how it was made. One day, he asked Calypso, "Where did you get that medicine? Is there any more left?" Calypso hesitated before replying, "It was my grandmother's. She gave it to me before she passed away. I don't know anything else about it. I gave everything I had to you." As Kraven continued his search, Rhino and his men finally tracked him down in Russia. Rhino used Dmitri's phone to call Kraven, taunting him and threatening his life. But just as Rhino prepared for the fight, Kraven's tiger appeared out of nowhere and attacked Rhino's men. Taking advantage of the chaos, Dmitri managed to escape. At the same time, Kraven turned Rhino's traps against him, eliminating his men one by one. Witnessing this, Foreigner arrived and used his hypnotic powers to subdue Kraven. Helpless under Foreigner's spell, Kraven found himself unable to fight back and was brutally attacked. At the critical moment, when Foreigner was about to shoot Kraven, Calypso appeared, wielding a crossbow. She fired, killing Foreigner instantly. Seeing Kraven's battered body, Calypso used the mystical medicine to save him once again. Unbeknownst to anyone, Calypso had kept some of the medicine in reserve but had never revealed it to anyone. Meanwhile, Rhino recaptured Dimitri. Believing that with Kraven dead and Dimitri alive, Nicholas would now agree to pay the ransom. As they were moving Dimitri, a massive herd of buffalo appeared, charging straight toward them. Rhino transformed back into his monstrous form to fight the stampede, but the buffalo's relentless assault destroyed all his vehicles. Amidst the chaos, Kraven arrived and confronted Rhino. The final showdown had begun. Rhino was immensely powerful, and even with all his strength, Kraven struggled to match him. But then Kraven noticed the wound on Rhino's abdomen, a weakness. He drove a metal rod into the wound, weakening Rhino significantly. Using a rope, Kraven hurled Rhino into the path of the charging buffalo. Trampled under their massive hooves, Rhino's strength drained away. As he lay dying, Rhino whispered, "Killing me won't change anything. Your real enemy is your father. Nicholas is the one who sent me your video." Hearing this, Kraven was stunned. It was as if the ground beneath him had collapsed. The next day he confronted his father, who was camping in a forest in Russia, hunting as if nothing had happened. "Why, father?" Kraven asked, his voice heavy with pain. "Why would you do this?" Nicholas said, "I knew Rhino was stronger than me. I could never defeat him. And if I had told you to kill Rhino, you would never have done it. So I planned everything. I gave Rhino all the information because I knew, if not for me, you would kill him to save your brother." Kraven stood there stunned. He realized just how cold and calculating his father was. Nicholas was willing to risk Dimitri's life to achieve his goals. To him, their lives meant nothing. His business was his only priority. Anger boiling inside him, Kraven silently called upon a wild bear from the forest and unleashed it on his father. To ensure Nicholas couldn't escape, Kraven had removed all the bullets from his father's gun. Helpless, Nicholas succumbed to the bear's attack. 1 year later, we see Kraven attending Dimitri's birthday party, but Dimitri was no longer the same. He had completely changed, taking over their father's business entirely. "What are you doing, Dimitri?" Kraven asked, his voice heavy with disbelief. "What else could I do, brother?" Dimitri replied. "There's no one left in the drug market anymore. So I stepped in. And I'm not weak like before. I found a formula from an American doctor and now I'm much stronger." Dimitri had gained a strange power. He could change his appearance like a chameleon. Seeing this, Kraven was heartbroken. He realized his brother had slipped away, becoming someone he could no longer save. Dimitri was now just like their father. And with that, Kraven faced a devastating truth. The brother he had risked his life to save was now the one he would have to fight. Later, when Kraven returned home, he found a letter left behind by his father. The letter read, "You are not just my son. You are a part of me. We are hunters, the most dangerous hunters the world has ever known." Alongside the letter, Kraven found a jacket made from the hide and mane of the lion Tsar. As he put on the jacket, Kraven felt something awaken within him. It was as if he had finally embraced his true identity. And with that, today's story comes to an end. How did you like it? Let me know in the comments. That's it for today. Goodbye.